Yeah, it's just me tonight. Sorry, everyone. Spaz is too busy doing basketball things or something. Oh, well. Welcome in, everyone. What is going on, everyone? Welcome into the Quacking Off Show right here on the YouTube, as we call it. Is just me, Ben, tonight, because Spaz is again doing other things. But I don't want to waste any of our guest time as we go into this week against Iowa. So I want to introduce our first guest. Corey will be joining us hopefully later. But for the time being, everyone, please welcome in Erica Goldberg.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for having me tonight.
Absolutely. No, thank you for coming. How are you doing tonight? And are you looking forward to this weekend?
I'm doing pretty well. Can't complain. It's not too cold here in Chicago yet, so doing well. And I am very much looking forward to this weekend. I think it's going to be a very good matchup and looking forward to see how everything goes.
That's the big thing. This was a game that we had always brought on. We talked about before the season. This was the game, one of those like 2 to 3 games that really stood out to us. It was like, that's an interesting, like that would be an interesting game.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the Iowa defense is rolling like they always do, and special teams is rolling. And we even have an improved offense this year. So it's pretty exciting as someone who's watched the Hawks for, God, I don't know how many years now, that we have an actual offense for the first time in a while.
Well, that's fair. And I guess again, while we're kind of seeing if Corey shows up, so I won't dive too deep. But I did have a good question because I know I've seen all the Iowa people on here, or online rather. Sorry,
Mm-hmm.
complaining about it, and I don't disagree with them. I'm not disagreeing with them at all. Is there a surprise finally that the CFP finally gave Iowa a little love and ranked them? Because I've been saying this whole season going, how is Iowa not ranked?
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot to say there. First of all, yeah, I agree with you. They should have been ranked in the AP, but it's also not as easy as that because, first of all, I feel like our reputation was a bit tarnished thanks to or courtesy of one Brian Ferentz as OC. So a lot of people have certain perceptions about Iowa that might not be completely true anymore, to many fans' surprise. That's number one. Number two, I also read, and because I was wondering, why aren't they ranked? Like, I had the same thought as you. Why aren't they ranked? Another thing too, I found out that a lot of the people or the media who have votes in the AP, they don't watch every single game because, simply as you said before, who has the time to, who can watch every game with how the schedule is now? So many teams and so many matchups. There's so many hours in the day, right?
Yeah, I mean, in defense too. Yeah, like I said, like we've known that. I mean, not everyone watches every game because yeah, it's impossible. So you're just looking at score lines and all that. And also, in with all due respect, it's one of those rivalry games that happens. The loss to Iowa State is not looking so great now.
Yeah, it wasn't looking great to me the second it happened. I mean, I hate losing to flipping Iowa State, to be honest with you. We have beaten other, Minnesota and Wisconsin this year handily. Like, it wasn't even a contest for either game. But yeah, losing to Iowa State, that hurt. And by such a small margin, too, that also hurt. But, next year we'll just have to whoop them that much harder.
Yeah, and again, like you just said, in all fairness, too. I mean, even the loss to Indiana by 5, which
Yeah.
in all fairness, too, I gave that as Indiana maybe a hangover game for them.
Mm-hmm.
But still, you were within 5 points of Indiana. But everyone else outside of the Iowa State game, maybe the Rutgers, but that was still a 10-point win. And then the Penn State one. The Penn State one is one of those ones where you're like, that's just how you guys play, you know.
Well, actually, that one I don't know if you've watched it. Did you watch it or watch the highlights at all?
I did not get to watch the highlights of that one.
Okay, so what happened there is we all know how conservative Kirk Ferentz is, right? He decided to make a stupid choice, and he allowed our kicker, who, in all fairness, is a very good kicker. He's one of the best in Iowa history, probably. He decided to let him try to make a kick that was over 60 yards, which is very unlike Kirk, right? So all of us, I mean, I can't speak for every Iowa fan, but I was texting back and forth with my dad, who's also a Hawkeye fan, during the game. And I'm like, what the hell is Kirk doing? Why is he's so risk averse, and all of a sudden he's allowing his kicker to do that? And then he missed it. And then it ended up being that was blocked, and they, ran it back for a touchdown.
You're right. That I do remember that that highlight from something else. I didn't watch the game highlight, but I remember that highlight. And I was like, who in college, unless it's literally like the final play of the game, you're 1 second left, and it's to
Hail
tie,
Mary.
yeah, or something like that. I mean, like that's the only reason you would ever do that, because
that's number one. That's number one. Number two, we're talking about one of the most conservative coaches in football. Kirk Ferentz, since when does he do stuff like that? He's not Dan Campbell.
Not many coaches would do that anyways.
Right. I mean, the reason I mentioned Dan Campbell is because he always goes for the fourth downs, and he's a lot more courageous when it comes to like calling the plays and deciding if they're going to take what risks, But Kirk does not generally take those types of risks. Heck, for him to even do a 4th and 1, sometimes we have to beg him. So, what is he doing? So, we gifted them points pretty much.
Yeah, because you do have a let me see. Do they have the stats here? Let me look at this.
I've got some stats in front of me.
They always only have field goal attempt. Okay, well, no, so 16 of 21 field goals, long of 55.
Yeah, I think this one was like 66 or something.
Oh, yeah, no, I was going to say, I was like 60 wouldn't be so crazy if he made 55, but if it was over 60, yeah, then you're like, come on, man.
Yeah, no, if it were just like 60 flat or 61, I've been like, I'm not sure I would have made that choice, but I understand it. But when you're talking about
outside of that one, he was outside of that one, Drew Stevens 3 of 3 from 50
yes.
plus. So
yes.
I get in a way not entirely crazy, but the trajectory of that kick from that distance changes, so it can get blocked.
Right, and not to mention, I believe that Penn State, and correct me if I'm wrong because I'm not an expert on Penn State, I believe that they've done that multiple times this season to other teams where they've blocked a punt or blocked a kick. Is that correct? I don't know if that's correct or not. But I believe they've done it to other teams. So it's like you have to also take into account your opponent when you're making these decisions. And if what I'm thinking is accurate, that's another strike against doing it.
They probably have blocked kicks. I'm sure they blocked at least 1 or 2. I'm sure.
Yeah.
That's not really. That's not. I'd have to.
I mean, that's kind of off scope, I guess, from this, but yeah. So we kind of gifted Penn State some points there, and that was disappointing, especially given that it's not a Kirk-like decision. He's he's the least penalized coach in America. Like that's the Iowa trademark, is that we play safe and that we play like sound football. We don't get penalized. And then he makes this risky decision. It's like, it's out of character.
Maybe he's kind of learning the game. You got to take chances here and there, but that is a risk.
That's a dumb risk.
Yeah, that's not 4th and 2 or something at the 50-yard line where you're like, yeah, we can get this or something. And you're like,
right. And another reason I say it's a dumb risk is because this was right before halftime, and we had all the momentum at that stage. And then he has Drew Stevens kick, I think it was 66. It was a 66 attempt. And that just killed all the momentum after Penn State blocked it and ran back and got the touchdown. So not only was the decision questionable at best, it was also like an energy killer. It zapped the energy.
Oh, don't feel bad. We didn't beat Penn State by that much either. But then again, we broke Penn State.
That's right. That's right.
So
Yeah.
in all due respect to the rankings too, and I kind of get we're looking at the schedule now a little better on because Iowa State, obviously that loss hurt. One, it's a
It
rivalry
sucked.
game. It's a rivalry
Yeah.
game. It was a close loss. Iowa State's not holding up their end of the deal. 5-point loss to Indiana. That's not a. I know people hate when you say that's not a bad loss or that's a good loss, but I'm saying that's not the worst thing in the world, right? Indiana's number 2
I
in the
have to
country right now.
say, yeah, I have to say, walking into that game, my instinct was, okay, if we just at least don't get blown out, I will be happy. If we can stick with them, like play with them, I will be happy, and I'll be even happier if we win, right? Because I'd watched some of Indiana before that game. And what ended up happening is, and I hate, just disclaimer, I hate when people use this excuse, but to me, this is part of it. Mark Gronowski, our quarterback, he ended up being injured in the last, minute and a half of the fourth quarter.
Oh yeah, that's right. That is right.
So that kind of stunk and that kind of hurt. So there's that, but there's also the fact that that was the coming out game for our defense. Our defense, we beat Indiana closer than anybody else they played this year. And they did a solid job. So I was very, very happy seeing that because at the beginning of the season, Iowa's known for their defense and they weren't looking like themselves. Like by Iowa standards, they were not doing a good job. Yeah, they were still probably top 20 in the country at that point. But for Iowa, that's not good enough. That's not what we're used to seeing. So I was like, oh, God, what kind of year is this going to be? Because we had just lost Jay Higgins and Nick Jackson, who were both extremely excellent players for us. And so there were, talks before the season, what's it going to be? And then we saw how they played the first few games, the ones before Indiana. And we were like, oh, God, this is going to be tough. If they don't somehow improve, this is going to be a tough year. But they just, I don't know. I can't even explain. It's like everything clicked at the right time. And since then, every game they've been getting better. And that goes for the whole team, not just the defense. Every single game they come out there and they look a little bit better. So that's something, too, that is to Iowa's advantage, obviously.
And real quick touch on that Penn State one more too. That was without Drew Aller for Penn State, right?
That's right. He was
Okay.
already hurt. I think that was just after, like the game after he got hurt, if I'm not mistaken.
That's all. I'm looking at the schedule. I'm trying to sync it up. I'm like,
yeah,
he'd been out. So I guess that's where the ranking came in. It was like, okay, lost to Iowa State. Iowa State's not ranked now. Yeah, Albany, UMass. Okay, that's normal. For a lot of teams, that's normal. And you blew both those teams out. Won Rutgers, lost by 5 to Indiana, blew out Wisconsin. I mean, Wisconsin barely has a pulse.
I mean, Wisconsin is pathetic, I have to say. Like, and I'm not just saying that because they're our rival, but truly, at least usually they put up a fight. But now for 2 years, they haven't put up a fight even. And I'm just so shocked that Pickle's not working out.
And I'm surprised that their defense wasn't better in that game. 37-0 over at Wisconsin. That's
in Madison.
Wisconsin has a decent defense, so that's actually a surprising score number I'm looking at. Then you beat Penn State. Of course, James Franco was gone. Drew Aller was hurt. Then you did blow out a reasonably decent Minnesota team. Decent Minnesota team.
Who had just beat Nebraska the week before, so that was kind of nice because I hate Nebraska too since they're our rival.
Hi, retired mouse. Retired Merce.
That's a cute icon. I like that dog.
I don't know why my mind just put mouse together all of a sudden. That word thing it does where it like adds missing letters.
It happens.
Yeah. So I kind of get it though. And I guess in your estimation then, with them not being ranked until the CFP, what would you say on the schedule is Iowa's best win? I guess, because, and I'm going to turn this to Oregon too. I'm going to turn this to Oregon on to us too. We're not sitting here just bashing Iowa or anything like that. That's not the point.
No, it's totally okay. So this is going to sound crazy, but my favorite win was Rutgers because that was a game. I was expecting that we'd go to Rutgers and that we would just kind of what we did to Minnesota and Wisconsin. It would be that type of thing where we just blow them out, where maybe they get like 3 points, maybe, one touchdown. I don't know. But I figured we would just blow them out. But they put up a fight. And the thing I liked about that game is that we managed to beat them in a competitive game. And I know that sounds nuts because Rutgers is no good. But the fact that we were able to do it, and we did it with offense, because I believe that game we did not have any interceptions or any fumbles or anything like that. That was purely offensive points. So for me as an Iowa fan, someone who's kind of watched the last few years and just hated the Brian Ferentz offense and all that jazz, it was really nice to see us put some offensive points on the board, and that many was against a decent Rutgers defense. I was happy to see that.
I'll take that. I can accept that. You gotta take the good out of a win, right? Whether it's like you said, that was an offensive win, finally.
Right. And that is an Iowa fan, like, I'm sure everyone in your chat knows this, but we're accustomed to having those fluke special team plays that help us win. And like, a few years ago we beat Maryland and it was like 51-14 or 17, something like that. And that's only because we turned them over like 5 or 6 times, which that's amazing. Don't get me wrong. I love that we turned them over 5 or 6 times. But a lot of people don't, like I've mentioned before on other shows we've done together, a lot of people don't like Iowa because the way we usually win isn't quote unquote sexy. But when you score that many points and they're all offensive points and you're not used to seeing that for the last few years, that's exciting and that's progress.
Yeah. I'm not going to complain with that or disagree with that type of thing because, like I said, that's not to rag on Iowa in any sense of the way because, again, Oregon's kind of in the same situation. They're only 9 because they have 1 loss and they started high in the rankings.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people say about Oregon. Yeah, that's kind of the reputation right now.
But that's what happens with a lot of teams, as we've noticed over the years of watching college football. You start high,
yeah,
you just win, and you get left there. And I'm not saying that bad about Oregon. Obviously, I'm the Oregon guy. But the years started impressive: 59-13, 69-3, 34-14, which was kind of a sluggish game even against Northwestern, 41-7. Then at Penn State, which, as I noted earlier, broke Penn State.
Wasn't that a whiteout too?
Yeah, because even James Franklin the next week when they lost said we never recovered from that loss.
Well, he's sitting there with his $50 million buyout right now, and I think he just got hired at Virginia Tech too, if I remember correctly. So he'll be fine.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I heard they were working on it. But
yeah, I don't think it's official quite yet.
Losing at home, obviously, the fall a couple weeks later to Indiana by 10, not ideal, but Indiana's really good.
Yeah, I think they might be the best team in the country.
Yeah, Indiana's really good. Beating the hell out of Rutgers to follow that up. At Rutgers, too, beating the hell out of them, that was fine. But the Wisconsin game did bring you back to reality, but at the same time, if people watch that game, and that's not an excuse, it was raining the entire game. That was just an ugly type of game where it's like, yeah, and your starting quarterback literally probably getting his nose broken on the field.
Oh my gosh, you know what? I saw that. Like, I watched the highlights and I saw what happened, and wow, I've never seen so much blood from an injury. That was crazy.
Yeah, I was like, oh no. And then they put in literally the backup he's a walk-on from Eugene.
Oh, really?
He went to the same high school as Justin Herbert.
Okay.
He's a walk-on, but he worked his way up now. They've been rotating the backup quarterbacks, but it was one of those games. And what I've summarized this with Spaz and on our other show. Wisconsin to me is our new Stanford.
Mm-hmm.
They're just that team. It doesn't matter. They are going to give everything they have against you, and they are just going to try to throw a wrench in your season kind of team.
Yeah.
They're just that type of team for us. That's like our new Stanford. So,
well, Wisconsin, though, you know what? And we alluded to this earlier. Like, I'm kind of surprised that Luke Fickell hasn't had the success that everyone expected of him. And we know why it is. He tried to turn a run first team into, an open, air raid offense, which that's kind of, you don't do that. That's a recipe for failure if you try to go the opposite end a lot of times. But the thing about Wisconsin, when we played, and they're one of our rivals, we beat them last year 42-7, I think it was, something like that. So they made a huge deal out of, oh, we're going to beat Iowa next year and nah. And at every practice, they did 42 push-ups. Since we beat them, we scored 42 points. Well, it did them nothing. So I don't know if they're going to have to try a different number of push-ups for next year or what, but didn't work, clearly.
Well, no, because I think it was right after that Oregon game, the Oregon loss where they lost 16-13 at home, which that was Oregon's 8th straight game in the season before a bye week, before the final game. That was when after that game, they fired Phil
Longo, right?
Longo. There you go. I was close. I was like, Langino. No, that's not it. I was like, yeah, Phil Longo.
Yeah, so to provide some, I guess, perspective, I was very much run first as well, like Wisconsin is going to be, I guess, or was. I don't know what Fickell's going to do, if he's going to try to go back to that. But anyway, what our new OC has done is he's trying to get us over 50-50. We're evenly spread out. It hasn't really worked yet because our rush game has been very effective. So in my opinion, partially it's because they haven't had to go to the pass. But the fact is our quarterback is, run first. He can pass. He's just not as efficient. And our wide receivers also still leave a lot to be desired. They're definitely a weak position on the field for us, unfortunately.
Well, that's it.
Now they have to do 37 push-ups.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dave. That's yeah.
And when Iowa actually landed in the offseason, when I saw that they had landed Gronowski, I was like, that's a good get for Iowa.
Yeah, he was NFL bound. He pretty much chose between us and NFL. And I don't know how much money he got, but apparently it was a decent sum and enough to get him to come here to Iowa. He's from the Chicago area. Apparently part of it was he did want to be a bit closer to home. And I believe that our offensive coordinator, Tim Lester, he comes from the same Chicago suburb as his parents, or there was some connection there. I don't remember exactly what it was, but somehow they knew each other. We all know how that type of thing goes. So just, all the stars aligned, and it's really worked out well for us. I mean, honestly, we're always run first. We always have been, probably under Kirk at least always will be. And he just fits in so well. You have to account for him because he has the most rushing yards of anyone on the team, and that includes the running backs.
Yeah.
So you guys are gonna have to put a spy on him.
Yeah, and when I saw you guys again get him, and I double check. I just looked at it. I was like, okay, oh, that's a good pickup because you couldn't even argue with me probably. Quarterback play has not been the greatest. Now you can obviously argue that partly was Farron's fault, but quarterback play has not been the greatest for Iowa.
No, it hasn't. I mean, in the past, we've had some, way past, we've had some good quarterbacks like Brad Banks, Ricky Stanzi. We've had our share of good quarterbacks, but in recent history, we have not. And we were winning games despite that because our defense was, top in the country, and it still is now. We're number 2 in total defense right now, but defense was winning us games. We were winning despite the quarterback we had, whether that be Petrus or whether that be Deacon Hill. And both of, Petrus is out of eligibility. He's no longer playing, and Deacon Hill ended up transferring out a while ago. And then also Cade McNamara is still playing. He's playing for Eastern Tennessee or something like that. And he ended up being a disappointment. A lot of Iowa fans were very excited about him. Me included, I fell for it. But I saw as soon as he got on the field, I just, part of it with him was that he had all those weapons when he was at Michigan around him. And at Iowa, we just don't get a lot of those highly rated recruits unless there's a family connection. We got Jose Epinesa. Miami was trying really hard to get him, but we ended up getting him, and he's one of the best players from Illinois in that class. And we got him because his father and his famous brother, AJ Epinesa, who plays for the Bills, also went to Iowa. So unless it's a situation like that, we're usually not getting those 5 stars. Even with tight ends, which that might surprise some people, but that's just what it is. So Iowa does a really good job, and anyone watching this will know they do a great job of developing 3-star talent. Like George Kittle was a 2-star. Look what we did with him. And actually, ironically enough, Brian Ferentz was the TE coach at that time. He was very good, like as a position coach, but as an offensive coordinator and a quarterback, developer, he was no good. And that's part of the reason why we did not see those quarterbacks develop during the time he was offensive coordinator and coaching the quarterbacks.
Yeah, when your contract literally says you have to score at least 24 points a game or you're out, and I do believe the final year he was there before he was released, you were at like 20 points a game, and that included defensive touchdowns too, and defensive safeties, all that stuff. That included that. You just had to have 24-point average a game or something like that. Wasn't that?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And the great thing is our new offensive coordinator, Tim Lester, which if you can't tell, I'm a huge fan of his. He's also a former quarterback himself. And he actually was head coach at Western Michigan, and he developed wide receivers, even though he's not a wide receiver guy per se. I mean, he's offensive coordinator, so he has to know a bit about every offensive position, but his main deal is quarterback. But he managed to develop wide receivers into NFL talent from a lower level school. So that to me, when he got hired and I learned that about him, that to me was a great sign. And he's done a really good job just kind of working to our strengths and trying his best to develop the quarterback. I mean, we've seen what he's done with Mark and how he's used him and the types of calls and kind of tricks he does when he makes his calls. So no doubt Tim Lester fits in very well with what Kirk wants to do, but at the same time, he's also kind of modernizing things a little bit, which is nice to see as well.
Yeah, but not over modernizing, like keeping that traditional, this is Iowa football.
Right.
Now we're going to sprinkle in this and this.
Right.
It's not tear it down. It's just, let's build on it.
That's right. And I think that is something that Kirk appreciates a lot. Because Kirk, as nobody will be surprised to hear, loves tradition. And a lot of Iowa fans love tradition. So he's a perfect fit, honestly, at Iowa.
I mean, the results are showing. Retired Merce is asking, does Franklin lose the money if he signs early as into a job? No, he actually will keep all the money as long as he gets a job. That's what I believe the contract was when he was fired. He would lose money if he didn't get a job. So
actually, didn't the contract say that the stipulation was that he had to apply for jobs or something?
I think it said he had to take a job, as in even like an analyst or something, or he loses money, which is a weird stipulate. Maybe that's a new buyout tactic for coaches, where the school can save money. But if he took the job, if he takes a job, maybe he does lose some money, but not as much. Or maybe I don't know. I'm not reading through his entire contract. If it's available, even I would not understand half of it, anyways.
I doubt it. I doubt that it's public domain. I really doubt that.
Yeah, there's like NDAs and stuff up the ass, I'm sure, about privacy and all that stuff. So
yeah, and the truth is too, like these days, like how college football works, and we don't have to go on this, side commentary, I guess, really, but I guess my point is,
please, we have nothing better to talk about tonight. Please, let's do it. This is what we do. This is what we do on this channel.
Okay, so what I was going to say is, agents and lawyers and all that have gotten very, very intelligent over the last few years when it comes to these contracts. So, and the schools too can afford to get great attorneys to help them negotiate. So the result of it, who in the heck knows? It's just gotten so crazy as far as coaching carousel and all that.
Yeah, you were talking about it before we went on live, and I was like, oh, we've been having a shit show about every week going, oh, who's next? Oh, right. Okay.
Well, one of our favorites got fired recently, Mr. LSU.
Which, that one wasn't entirely shocking, but at the same time, when you already had all the other programs open, it was kind of like, who are these teams going to get? There's a limited market. There's a limited market available.
Right. But what's funny is when I saw that he had been let go, I got that image in my head from the beginning of the season where he banged his arm on the table. Remember? I thought of that whole thing. But anyway, there's so many funny things you can say about that guy. He's such a character.
Yeah. The coaching contracts and the coaching carousel right now this year is
It's insane.
Yeah, because everyone's like, oh, well, they can get this coach. I'm like, but that's a head coach of another team. So what does that team do? So, I mean, it's just it's just going to continue. I'm like, ah.
It makes me a little paranoid, to be honest, because there's some coaches who I think could get poached from us. I know that there's one of our defensive coaches or assistants who Minnesota tried to poach him. And it ended up being that he got a nice little raise and a new title because we wanted to keep him. So stuff like that's going to become more commonplace, I have a feeling, as well, because just like you said, so many jobs open, there's only a limited pool of applicants or candidates.
Exactly. I mean, and Oregon's no stranger to that. Will Stein is every team that's open is like, yeah, let's look at Will Stein. But they also say Dan Lanning's the top candidate. It's like Dan Lanning's not going anywhere. Will Stein, though, yeah, I could see him going from OC to take a head coaching job. But
yeah,
will he? I don't know. He's already getting paid pretty well. I don't know
yeah,
what his ambitions really are, but Dan Lanning's not going anywhere. He's already one of the top 5 coaches in college football getting paid. I mean, he's fine, you know.
honestly, he'd be dumb to go somewhere else, I think.
Well, we've also said this. To be a college football coach, you have to be a bit of a psychopath. So at the same time, you've got to be really insane.
Yeah, that's fair. That's definitely fair. And some of them certainly are. We know that.
Yeah, it's like, so
we could talk about that all night too. Some of them are definitely interesting personalities, to say the least.
Yeah, it's these teams are going to recycle coaches or steal coaches, get the same results, or some are going to bank on an OC or a G5 coach and hope for the best. Will it work? You don't know, but then you end up 2 or 3 years later, maybe in the same place.
See, that's the thing. I don't even know how to phrase it. Like, I feel like these coaches, and Iowa's unique in this regard in that we hang on to our coaches, right? Like, Kirk Ferentz has been there forever, and he was even on Hayden Fry's staff, when Hayden Fry was coach at Iowa. So Iowa's unique in that way, but it feels like at other schools, it's such a short leash. Like, if you don't produce in 2 or 3 years, you're out.
Yeah, Kirk Ferentz is definitely a unique situation. I mean, you could argue the same thing. Like, well, these back in the day, Oregon was the same thing. We had Rich Brooks, then we had Mike Bellotti, and then Chip Kelly, and then the coaching staff had been there for the most part. Most of them had been there for 30 years.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah,
but then all of a sudden, I think Oregon kind of got ahead of the trend of going, we see what's happening here. We can't accept this. But Kirk Ferentz had built up such a reputation at Iowa. He is like Iowa football.
He's synonymous with Iowa football, for sure. No doubt about that. And it's going to be interesting to see when he retires. I think it's going to be happening in the next few years for sure. And I'm really, really excited to see what ends up happening there because, we've had to hire a new women's basketball coach. We've had to hire a new men's basketball coach ever since we had our new athletic director join us, because our old one, who'd been there way too flippin' long, and is part of the reason why Brian Ferentz was there for so flippin' long, he finally retired. He bowed out, and we got a new AD who is so much better. I'm so thankful she is there. But she has done a fantastic job so far of hiring coaches. And I'm going to be really, really excited to see what she does with Kirk. They recycle coaches being environmentally savvy. Oh, geez. I would call environmentally savvy if it's $50 million a buyout. That's not savvy.
Saving the planet one coach at a time.
Yeah, that's true for some of them. That's for darn sure. That's for darn sure. Some of them need to be saved. Anyway.
All right, let's.
I was like, at first, I was like, "Why is he laughing?" But I didn't see the comment at first.
I know if I start cracking up, it's definitely a comment. I tell Spaz don't read the comments, but I'm selecting the comments, so I have to read them. So they catch me off guard sometimes. I can't.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh yeah. There have been teams. No team is. Every team has had a coaching carousel or coaching issues over the years. Michigan's not immune to that either. But this year is just wild. I mean, how can you ever say there's been teams like UCLA, Virginia Tech, Florida, LSU, Penn State open it all at the same time? And there's going to be a couple more.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think we're done.
Yeah, no, it's not done. It's not done. There's already a couple more of them besides that, I believe, like smaller schools, but we're not done.
Yeah, it's you know what, honestly, it's craziness, and I feel like it's a little bit out of control. But you know what? Like college football in general is out of control in a lot of ways. Like I think the transfer portal has gone too far. But again, that's another topic maybe for another day. But it's just the dynamics have changed so much.
Well, as
It's
I
not what
said,
it was.
once Florida went with Napier after a win, I was like, oh no, they are starting something because Penn State did it, and Florida's like, all right, well, we got to move if we want to coach. And now you just said the transfer portal. Just imagine what the transfer portal will look like this season.
It's already started. It's
I
already
know, but
started. If you look at Twitter,
it's going to be insane.
I'm you know what? I don't like the transfer portal, but part of me this year is like, let's go. Let's see it, because
Well, and if your coach gets fired that you committed to, they have the right to transfer. But with this many coaches at these types of schools, oh my gosh.
yeah, it's you know what? It's going to be crazy. It's going to be absolute madness. And there's so much money being thrown around, not just with these coaching contracts like we talked about, but with the transfer portal too. It's the same deal. Money's crazy. It's way too much about the money.
Yeah, well, and Dave's been on this point, and I've been on this too. They've got to cap like NIL in a way,
Yeah.
because that's what's. I mean, you're already seeing the closure between certain teams because of NIL and the talent.
Mm-hmm.
In the transfer portal, I didn't mind the whole transfer once, then if you transfer again, you sit out a year. Now,
Yeah, I was for that.
if your coach gets fired, you kind of get a free pass. I can kind of get on board with that,
Yeah.
but you don't need to be like Tate Martell
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
whatever who transferred like 5 times.
Oh, I love
or
that when
something.
during like the draft or whatever, or like, if they're playing a game and it's somebody who's transferred a lot, they were at Ohio State and then they went to Auburn. And oh, yeah, after that, they went to Ohio State and now they're at Virginia Tech. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, there are.
And then you have people like, what's his name? The quarterback from Penn State, Clifford. Remember him from a few years ago?
Yeah, Clifford.
He played football for what, 7 or 8 years in college? It's ridiculous.
I think he got I'm sure he got a medical. He did a red shirt, and I'm sure he got did he get a medical red shirt?
I'm not sure. I mean,
Or
I
a
think he had a
gray shirt or
COVID.
whatever they call it at that point.
Did he have a COVID year in there too? I'm not sure.
No, Clifford was gone like 2018, wasn't he?
I thought he was. I don't.
Sean Clifford, right?
Yeah.
Sean Clifford. Let me see. Sean Clifford.
But it's just, to me, it's crazy that anybody has 7 or 8 years of eligibility.
Well, we've known a few people that have done that.
Oh, I'm not saying.
Yeah, never mind. You are spot on. Yeah, he graduated high school in 2017.
Jesus, my God.
So he was at Penn State, I guess 2018 to 2020. Yeah, 20. Oh, he was technically they call it 2017 to 2022. So 5 years, 5 to 6 years. Yeah.
Crazy stuff.
Yeah. Well, we had a tight end that went to Miami, and he'd been in college like 8 years, but he'd been injured like 3 years of those. So they kept giving him red shirts.
I thought there was a limit on how many medical red shirts he could get. No.
Well, and add a COVID year in there too, or whatever, and yeah. We're now getting out of the COVID year stuff though, so now we're not dealing with that. Yeah.
Thank goodness, because that added more to the craziness.
I couldn't tolerate the super seniors anymore. I was like,
right?
What does that mean? I was like, are
right.
they a senior or check out a super senior because they went? I was like, okay, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not dealing with it.
But in any case, yeah, I mean, the portal has benefited Iowa, since we're talking about the portal, to kind of bring it back to Iowa a little bit. We have definitely benefited. I mean, like you said yourself, Mark Gronowski, like that's just the classic good pickup. And we're actually going after a quarterback right now from Boise State who decommitted, and he's looking.
You stay off of Beavers.
He's not a Beaver. Are you going after him too?
No, he's committed to Oregon.
Are we talking about the same person?
Bryson Beavers?
No, I'm talking about Bessinger.
Oh, Bessinger. I was like, Bryson Beavers, he did commit from Boise and committed to Oregon. I was like, you stay off Beavers.
Oh, no, we're not trying to poach him. No. But we're trying to get Bessinger, and the only other schools he's interested in, I think, are BYU, because he's from Utah, and I think UCLA, which I don't see how. I hope Iowa doesn't lose to a school who doesn't even have a head coach. That would be really annoying and pathetic. And by the way, the UCLA coach thing, when he got fired, I was like, shock or not.
Oh yeah, no. Year one,
that was terrible.
We called this like over a year ago when he first named him. I was like, he is so in over his head.
Yeah, do you remember him at Big Ten Media Days? He just stood up there and was like, "Oh, I'm so happy to be here. It's such an honor," and he didn't know what else to say.
Yeah, we were like, this guy, Deshaun Foster was. We were like, dude, this is a sacrificial lamb for a cheap price.
That's exactly right. That's exactly why he got that job, probably, because he went there too. I think he was a running back.
He was a running back. He's an alum, so it made sense. It kept continuity. But I was like, dude, he has never been a position coach even.
I know that's for me. If I were a UCLA fan, that would be inexcusable.
So to be honest, I've said it, and we'll get back on this game because I guess we were talking about a game here.
That's right.
If UCLA finished this season strong, they need to just remove interim tag, keep the staff they have now. Otherwise, they'd be stupid.
Yeah, well, they already made some really dumb decisions before, so.
Well, that's why I don't trust UCLA, and I'm not a UCLA fan.
Right.
They're all idiots.
They should have a PhD. Yeah, right. You'd think Clifford had a PhD by the time he left Penn State, honestly.
Some of these guys really, really should. I mean, to be honest, if they were doing college right, they would. But I guess their college money runs out. They're just NCAA eligible, I guess, at that point. I'm not sure how that works.
Yeah, I think there's only a certain number. Well, then you have medical red shirts, and then the COVID year before. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know how that works.
That's part of the problem too. Is these rules are all over the place and they're changing all the time.
Yeah, I'm not keeping up with that stuff.
Me neither.
All right, well, Erica, we've got some interesting stuff to talk to now that we've sat here for 42 and a half minutes talking about coaches firings and transfer portals and 8-year eligible people. And I guess right on time here to sit and actually talk about the game that we're here to talk about. Everyone, please welcome in Corey Brada. He's a busy guy.
Hey,
over
Corey.
Here.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's been a long day, but it's going to be this week is going to culminate in a pretty big game under the lights in Kinnick. So
yeah,
to it.
Yeah, you popped right in on time, and we literally spent 42 minutes talking about everything else almost outside of the game.
Well, there's a lot of storylines, and the weather is becoming a storyline. So I don't know if you guys have mentioned that.
If it snows, I'm going to just.
Yeah, Oregon fans they're not. You guys are not immune to bad weather. I watched that Wisconsin game here a week and a half ago, under the lights, and plenty wet, plenty. I think this week's probably a better chance of having colder temps and windier conditions. So those will be storylines to follow as well.
I think it's going to be about 35 degrees out there, right?
35, maybe. That seemed a little cool. I was seeing low 40s, but yeah.
Maybe by the end of it.
Yeah, by the end, it's going to, like I said, it's going to finish under the lights. It'll be dark and Dave, I'm doing good. Thank you for asking, Dave.
Oh, that's why I heard it earlier. It was like, it could possibly snow. And I'm like, oh, no. Midwest games. But like you just said, I said, I give a pass on the Wisconsin game because the weather was just awful the entire game. Our quarterback got his nose broken, essentially. And then Wisconsin is our new Stanford. I'm just calling them our new Stanford. It's just that team, I give a pass.
They've never been that team until the last couple of years, but you're right. I was in watching down the stretch of that Oregon Wisconsin game. It was even commented on by, I don't even know who the commentator in that game was, but it was
Oh,
the color guy was talking about how, Dante Moore probably could have come back into that game, but at some point you just got to recognize, hey, you're up 14 against a team that has no offense and has already struck gold on a deep shot. You're probably better off just keeping your backup in, giving him some reps, and not letting anything stupid happen in the rain. So have we gotten into what's the latest on Dante Moore? I mean, is he going to be wearing protective facial gear? Is there any news on him?
I honestly, I haven't heard. No, I didn't get to watch there was a presser from Dan Lane earlier. I didn't get to hear it, but he doesn't like to talk about that stuff openly. But in the game afterwards, when the game was done, Dante was still on the field in his helmet, but he wasn't wearing anything special. So it might have been like just a minor fracture. Could have been a broken nose where they just adjusted and they're like, you'll be good, and inject a little thing and iced it, But I mean, the same thing. I think it was like, but that's what I told Eric. I was like, our backup, that was a walk-on from Eugene who started he was the 4th-string quarterback.
Yeah,
we've been there before.
To the backup, so they're rotating the backup quarterbacks a lot, and I think that's a redshirt idea and making competition in the backfield, for the backup quarterback spot, really pressing competition.
Well, go ahead, Eric.
I was going to say, I remember when we beat Nebraska last year, we were on, I think, 4th-string quarterback, Jackson Stratton. I think he was our 4th string at the beginning of the year because they all got injured.
Yeah.
And we still beat them.
There are going to be this is a game where I don't know the last time I would have said in my recollection with an Iowa game that 2 quarterbacks are as important to what their teams are doing as Gronowski and Dante Moore are. And I know, Oregon was able to close out that game against Wisconsin without Dante, but I think in general, like that's a big storyline here as well, because, with the bad weather, it's going to be the coldest game Iowa will have played. I can't speak to Oregon. Probably. Is that fair to say this will be the coldest game for Oregon as well to date?
This season, yeah, by far.
So there's always a potential for soft tissue stuff when it gets a little cooler. It's just interesting to, if you don't want that to happen to Gronowski, don't want that to happen to Dante Moore, but this, especially with a front 4 for Iowa that's been getting home a little bit more as the season's gone on. Phil Parker's blitzed more this year. I would not be surprised. We've seen Sean Clifford get knocked out of a big game in Kinnick, 4 years ago?
Yeah.
We were just talking about the eighth year Clifford.
Yeah, we were.
So I mean, health of the 2 quarterbacks is going to be important as well. So lots to follow kind of heading into this one. And both these guys have dealt with injuries to date.
Are you all surprised, both of you, by the line right now? At least right now, earlier when I made the banner anyways, it was -6.5 for Oregon and 40.5 over under. Does that seem...
It's moved, has it? I think it opened around 6, didn't it?
I think it's like 5.5 now, isn't it?
Did it just drop? I just made this I made it about 7 hours ago, so I mean, it could have changed.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, like those things change, and they'll probably change again before the game. It wouldn't shock me, but I think my opinion is that it's about right. Given that we actually have an offense this year, and that, Corey, I was actually going to make the comment: isn't it nice to be talking about Wisconsin not having offense after having been the team that didn't have offense for so many years? Instead, it's somebody else now.
Wisconsin does not have an offense. Yeah.
Wisconsin doesn't have a pulse.
Yeah, that's a weird situation in Madison. I will say this. There were some things I know that was a rainy game, but this could be a rainy game. There were some things that I think Iowa can learn from how Wisconsin played in Eugene. Now, again, trying to kind of sift through the crap of the weather. I mean, do you guys have any thoughts on what Wisconsin was able to accomplish in that game, other than they kept everything in front of them, hit a big play that cut it within 14, but it was going to be hard to overcome a 2 to 3 score deficit in those types of conditions with that type of an offense?
Well, Wisconsin defensively has not always been bad. They've had their off games. I think they took some of the things that Indiana did not necessarily the simulated pressures. And I'm wondering if Iowa is going to try to maybe mimic some of those, because those gave the Oregon offensive line fits the entire
Yeah.
game.
Yeah, you
I mean, I
better
was
believe
watching it just
that.
going, come on, guys, don't fall for this. But, I'm not on the field watching it. So, or, playing the game. So it's like, so I'm wondering, I think Wisconsin took some of what Indiana did and tried to beat them in a game, but I think the weather also impacted them that way.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I'm wondering if Iowa will do it.
the thing about Wisconsin is, first of all, yes. I mean, I didn't watch the whole game. I just watched some highlights quickly on YouTube of that. But clearly, yeah, they were trying to take what they saw other teams do, like Indiana, like you said, and mimic it and try to beat Oregon that way. That being said, we have a defensive mastermind in Phil Parker. He's one of the best defensive coordinators in the country. And you better believe that we're going to execute a heck of a lot better than Wisconsin did. He's going to have his guys ready. That's for darn sure.
Yeah, no, they'll be ready. And it'll be interesting to see what the plan is against this offense, because Wisconsin makes a living of using all 4 downs. And, it's so hard to, with the amount of push they get up front and with the athletes they have on the edge, it's hard to figure out a way to limit them to less than 10 yards and 4 downs. I think of Wisconsin under Dan Lanning as just being a guns blazing, go for 2 when you don't need to type of team. I mean, that's what I've always thought of with Oregon, even I guess before Lanning. So I will be intrigued to see how Phil attacks this. Like I said earlier, Iowa has blitzed more, sent extra pressure more than they have in past years. I'd love to see numbers that back that, but I know I'm not the only one who's made that observation. And, they've done a little bit more with linebacker pressure, probably because they have a little bit more confidence in their corners than they did last year. And so, no, I mean, Erica, you're right. With how well TJ Hall is playing right now, and Deshaun Lee has been, I mean, nobody's saying Deshaun Lee's name anymore because so far nobody's really gotten him in Big Ten play. I mean, you saw Callie McManus kind of get a couple of deep balls against him with some great receiver play, and Callie McManus was letting it fly early in Big Ten play. But since then, man, it's even Fernando Mendoza. He had the one play that ended up in a touchdown on an all-out blitz late. But boy, it's been hard to generate anything. Even Penn State's points. I mean, Iowa wins that game by 1 point, but Penn State has the field goal block return for a touchdown, and I mean, just it's been a dominant stretch of weeks here for Iowa's defense.
Yeah, they really had their coming out game, I think, during Indiana, really, because I was sharing with Ben earlier that I was looking at them preseason, and I'm like, I was one of those people who was a little bit skeptical knowing that we were losing Jay Higgins and Nick Jackson. And I'm like, what is this going to look like, right? Because we're losing 2 really excellent players. And then seeing how they went during the first few games, I really had question marks, if I'm being honest. I figured Phil would eventually get them where they need to be, but I was like, is it going to happen? When is it going to happen? And then when we played Indiana, I'm sure he pounded into them, we need this to be your best game, and they delivered. I mean, they made Mendoza look uncomfortable sometimes, and I think he was the most uncomfortable all season against us.
And Dante Moore, and I talked with Mark about this yesterday. Dante Moore, statistically, has not, and I'm just looking up his current numbers, but has not ran the ball quite as much as I expected him to. I guess he does have 131 yards. So, Ben, give me an idea for Dante Moore's escapability. Obviously, he's an athlete. He's mobile, but he's not a Mark Gronowski who's looking to run 8 to 10 times a game.
No. We were curious before the season how that would work, because we've seen like Bo Nix get injured before. We've seen Dylan Gabriel get beat up a little bit. Obviously, he's a smaller quarterback than Dante Moore, but Dante, they're using him here and there on very short yardage situations, not just quarterback sneaks, but short yardage. And then he's just opportunistic when he sees an opening. So if everyone vacates in a man coverage and he sees 5, 6, 7 yards in front of him, he's going to take it if there's nowhere to go. And I think that was kind of one of our things that we're talking about. Is there going into this? Because I agree with you. I think the line is fine. 6, 6.5, 5.5, 40-ish over under. I think that line is actually appropriate.
Yeah.
That's why the show title is A Defensive Struggle. Because both these defenses are good. Are good. Both these defenses are good.
Yeah, we've talked about the weather. We've talked about the defense. Now we're starting to talk about quarterbacks. But one thing that I think we haven't talked about yet is the atmosphere in Kinnick. And a lot of the Duck fans I've seen on Twitter, and obviously I know a few tweets doesn't represent an entire fan base. I'm aware of that. But some of them, I think they're completely underplaying that.
They haven't experienced that, Erica. That's they're new to the conference. They have not experienced that. I mean, I'm not trying to intimidate Oregon fans, but Oregon has not experienced that. And somebody who has experienced it is Dan Lanning. Dan Lanning has experienced it. He was on the Pittsburgh staff in 2011 and has played in Kinnick. But most of these guys have no idea. Here's another guy who understands it, Kyler Casper. Kyler Casper understands it because he's been to Kinnick to watch Iowa football with his dad, having played at Iowa and being recruited by the Hawks. So, no, that's advantage Iowa in that regard. Advantage Iowa. I think it's great that it's not an 11 a.m. game. Honestly, I would have no issue if it was another night game. But no, I if there's anybody taking that for granted on the staff, and I doubt there is, or on the roster, huge advantage to Iowa because I mean, by all accounts, probably a top 2 or 3 environment in the league, and no doubt a top 10 environment nationally. I have confidence in saying that.
I remember in was it 21 when we beat Penn State, Corey? What year was that?
Yep.
Yeah. So in 2021, we made Penn State false start 5 times or 4 times in a row at one point in the game, in the third quarter, I think it was, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. And that was Taquan Roberson too, as backup quarterback, but you got him down in that north end zone where it gets loud. And I don't think Dante Moore is going to have a problem in that scenario, but everybody's got all 11 guys have to be able to work together. And it was not just an issue with Taquan Roberson, but that's why I say you can knock a quarterback out too. That changes everything as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's all I was going to say.
You put up a comment. It was from the retired Merce person who said, how can they underplay something they haven't experienced or seen? I think, as Corey was saying, it's one of the top places in the country, noisiest places to play, most difficult places to play. And even if you haven't experienced it, if you know about college football, I feel like it's a known thing that it's not easy to play in Kinnick.
And just in response to the comment there at the bottom from retired Merce, Oregon was just at a wideout. I don't see them being intimidated by an environment. I'm not saying they are intimidated. What I'm saying is it might be easy for somebody who has not experienced Iowa to assume that Iowa, everybody knows Penn State at night is, whiteout and it's the best environment in college football. But I think there are still some people nationally that don't recognize lowly Iowa being that type of an environment. So I'm not saying they're going to be intimidated by the environment itself, but it might be something that surprises some people. I don't know that you can fully be prepared for that, given the fact that it's Iowa.
Well, and in all fairness, I was telling Erica earlier, it was the Iowa game was something that we had circled before the season going, that's one of the 3 kind of really interesting games. Going into Kinnick Stadium, I know it's a great environment. I've watched the games. We all love the Wave.
Yeah.
We all love the Wave. Dan Lanning loves the Wave because, of course, his wife has overcome cancer.
Yep.
So we all love the Wave. That's a great thing that they do, and it's a great environment. And in all fairness, too, like what retired Merce was saying, that's it. Oregon has had the whiteout experience now at night. I'm assuming they're going to try to treat it the same way. Full silent count. Nothing said amongst the line. Little taps here and there, and little okay, we're good to go. Point. Very all
hand
silent.
gestures.
Yeah, all silent. Because if you watch, that is a concern. As I just said on the bottom here, we have team concerns. Noise, the atmosphere, and the environment. Now we're
And
talking
you
about
can,
weather. And that is a concern. That is a concern. Because if you get into snow, that's a different environment than just rain.
And
yeah.
I hate to cut this short. I do have to run, but I just want to add one more thing in here, Ben, and I do appreciate you having me on here. I haven't come out with my preview yet, but it released tomorrow. Excuse me, released tomorrow. To me, the biggest storyline defensively for Oregon is their ability to stop Mark Gronowski on the ground, because especially in a game, if it becomes weather affected, where it becomes a ground and pound, you have to be able to run the ball, convert on critical downs. I know Oregon hasn't played Iowa a lot, so maybe you have nothing to compare it to, but Iowa has not had a dual threat guy like Mark Gronowski in big games like this for at least the last 6 years. So I think, especially with the weather forecast, Gronowski's ability to convert on critical downs with his feet, with his legs, is probably my biggest storyline. So, Ben, thank you for having me on. Appreciate it.
No,
And,
I appreciate you, but in a quick pop quiz.
Yeah.
Do you know the win-loss record between Oregon and Iowa in this rich rivalry-filled history?
no idea.
2-1 in Oregon's favor.
Okay. And the last time they played was like in the 80s?
94.
94? I think
40 to 18 Oregon.
Yeah.
Over Iowa.
Okay. I did look this up. I believe both losses were in the Hayden Fry era, and then Iowa's win was with all three losses. All three games were in the Hayden Fry era.
When were the other two?
First matchup was 1949, lost by 3.
Okay.
Then the other
80s.
one,
they played in the 80s, like 86,
89,
89.
win 44-6, and then a win in 94, 40 to 18.
Yeah, now, those were not good performances for Hayden Fry teams, but those were down years. So, Erica, hey, we'll talk to you after the game on Saturday.
Yep, I'll see you then.
Thanks,
All
guys.
Right. Thanks, Corey.
Bye, Corey.
Everyone go follow Corey up here. I know Jackson dropped the link here. It's also in the description of this video. So if you go down there, you can follow him here on YouTube and on X. And there it is there in the chat also from Jackson, as he is always dropping links. That's what he does.
And he also makes very good marketing pitches too.
He does, but we make him keep that stuff under 30 seconds these days.
Oh, really? Okay.
We do not let him go on for 40 minutes, like 3 minutes anymore. We don't let him do that.
You know, one thing that we haven't talked about yet is special teams.
Special teams is in this type of potential weather game. Special teams is going to be interesting, and people think, oh, miss field goal, whatever. It's like, what if you miss a snap on a punt? What if the punt is fumble? Stuff like that. Muff punts. Doesn't matter. All those come into play. So special teams is a big one.
And also, we have the number 1 returner in the country. So he's done a kick return and punt return, like 2 punt returns, I think, during the season. So he's a definite threat. He's very quick. And if he gets past one or, the first or second line of guys, he's gonna go all the way.
Let me see here. Returns average. Iowa's averaging 27.8 yards per kickoff return. Punts 19.6. Average interception kicking. Doesn't show the returns. I wish they would show that.
Oh, they don't. Wait a minute. Let me look at the page I'm looking at. Let's see. Kicking stats, turnovers.
I wish they would show that.
I could have sworn I saw that on here.
No, I'm not saying that it's wrong. I'm saying it just doesn't show that on here for some reason, and I really hate that. I wish they would.
Oh wait, here it is. Here's some return statistics. Let's see. Average kickoff return 27.8. Average punt return yards 19.6. Average interception yards 17.9. Average, well.
Right, and then it just kind of stops. I'm like, I wish it would show that stuff. I don't know why it doesn't show that.
Huh.
I know
there's so weird.
I know there are stats that are always missing, and I'm not doubting the stats. I'm just saying it's annoying. It's like I wish they would
Tell-
just show everything or to make it easier to find some of these without having to deep dive into this. But
I
special teams
know.
are a big one. Special teams are a big one. So Iowa's kicking though is good. Like again, you literally your kicker is 3 of 4 from plus 50.
Yeah.
And it was just that one insanely
66.
long kick, that he
Yeah.
tried to make. Outside of that, 16 of 21. So let's just call it 16 of 20. You know, that's pretty good percentage, and he's solid.
Yeah, he's reliable for sure.
His worst range is actually 40 to 49.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? We noticed that a few weeks ago, and yeah, I don't know why that is. Maybe it's a mental block. I don't know.
I have no idea. It is interesting with kickers because I mean, our kicker, Oregon has panic attacks from about field goal kickers.
Really?
For like 15 years.
Huh.
We've had panic attacks because our kickers have cost us so many games.
It's interesting because for us, it's the opposite scenario where our special teams generally does help us win.
And our guy is, again, this is in total for a team. There's only been 12 attempts, field goal wise. But that's because Dan Lanning is a psychopath and goes for it on fourth down all the time.
Yeah.
But he's the same. He's 3 of 4 for 40 to 49. So it's kind of hit and miss. It's a good average, but we don't kick many field goals. Dan Lanning again is insane and just is like, nah.
I think that's one of the interesting points of this game as well is we're looking at somebody, namely your coach, who will take risks and all that. And then we're looking at somebody in our coach and Iowa's coach who in general is risk averse. And Trader kicker. What?
Sorry, that made Clint stop doing that. It almost made me spit. Erica, Clint, the Beaver fan. Our kicker for last year and this year was a former Beaver kicker.
Oh, I get it now. Okay, sorry, I didn't know that.
It's like it almost made me spit. I was like, Jesus.
Yeah. But I think it's an interesting matchup partially for that reason too, is the coaches are just totally opposite in I don't want to say in personality because I don't think that's accurate either, but just in approach, how they approach the game.
I agree with that. Like you said, look, Ferentz is old school, more traditional, and has been trying to branch out or being forced to branch out into like modernize things. Whereas then you have Dan Lanning, again, who's insane. And the whole staff is young. And they're just like, let's try this. and see if it works.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. I'm fascinated by that. And we have like some coaches on our staff who were Iowa players back in the day. Like our special teams coordinator, he played for Iowa, like on the last Hayden Fry team. And then he stuck with Iowa even after Hayden left. So he spent his whole career, and he's a native Iowan too. He's from the state of Iowa.
So what concerns you the most in this game? Like, because I'm looking at things, and I was watching a lot of people today that I trust their commentary, and they were saying, Oregon secondary is still a question mark. Our secondary, outside of a couple of players, and some people put it in here earlier that, hi Sean, I don't know, but Thieneman will live in the box against the run for Iowa. Outside of like a Thieneman, and then we have a Kennedy, the transfer from Ole Miss, our secondary is all like legitimately true or redshirt freshmen, basically. And they still have not. They're still one of the top 10 passing defenses in the country. Now, again, some of these offenses we played have Wisconsin, for instance.
Well, Wisconsin is just hot garbage. I mean, honest to God, let's just be honest.
But to hold Rutgers to 10 at home, and that was a garbage touchdown at the end. So that was pretty, I'd say the defense is fine. Is there a concern on your end, since you were saying earlier about the receivers on the Iowa side?
Yeah.
Need to, could do better.
Yes, they do. There's no doubt there. Because a lot of the times when we don't get the reception, it's not really because of Mark Gronowski. Like he does overthrow sometimes, but it's not to the point where it's a habit. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, every other one he overthrew it. It's not anything close to that. A lot of times it's just because it's those balls where they should be catching it and then they don't. So that's on the receiver probably 9 or 8 times out of 10. But as far as what I'm concerned about from the Oregon side, this is going to sound basic maybe, but talent level, I alluded before that Iowa develops players, among the top in the country. We just don't get a lot of 5 stars, and you guys have talent all over that roster. And don't get me wrong, we've got some NFL guys on our side too. We're like one of the top, I think, 15 teams for NFL draft talent, and we've developed them. But as far as pure talent, that is a concern of mine, because like you just brought up yourself, your secondary is young, yet they're still one of the top passing defenses in the country.
I can agree with that, and I think Corey brought it up before we even got to it. And I think on the Oregon side, it is, if it's a weather game and they're not worried about passing, Iowa maybe gets stuck in a bit of a hole, because then you can put, like was just being said, Thieneman down and be like, spy the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Do not let him loose, because if you're not worried about the other team throwing the ball because of the weather, you can play a little more press man. You can then spy the quarterback, and that kind of limits it. So I am worried about, if the weather's not that in condition and it's a normal game, I am a little concerned about the quarterback run. But Oregon tends to do that pretty well in a mix of zone and man. They tend to defend the running quarterback fairly well, but they haven't really dealt with a quite as mobile quarterback, I guess. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. Yeah. Are you concerned about Iowa's offensive line at all? Because we're number 1 according to PFF. And so I just was wondering what your thoughts were there.
It is going to be interesting. I am a little concerned because, of course, that's just who Iowa is. Iowa's ground and pound. They're going to run right at you. And if you overcommit to stopping that in all the formations, again, that opens up that passing game, the play action. So, again, I think it comes down to a bit of that weather game. How is it? Because, again, if it's raining or snowing, you're not going to be seeing deep passes.
Yeah, no.
You're just not going to see it from both teams that much. But so if Oregon overloads the box to take away the run, it's not going to be great. And again, Iowa is running total. They're 1,482 yards, 4.8 a carry, and 20 touchdowns. That's pretty good.
Mark Gronowski has gotten 11 touchdowns for us.
Yeah,
and he's also our lead rusher.
Exactly. That I was like, that's your. Is it no? Isn't Moulton the leading rusher? It says Moulton has 435, but still Gronowski says 313. No, he does have.
Oh, did he overtake him? He might have overtaken him last time.
Yeah, Gronowski still has 11 touchdowns though. That's impressive. So he's a good short yardage, like a read. Is that more of a read option style?
Well, as far as short style, like it's not just short runs. Like he ran. Who was that against? Trying to remember. I want to say it was Minnesota, maybe, where he ran for like, all the way down the field practically, and then he slid because it was like the last minute of the game. They wanted to run out the clock and it was over. But he has the ability to do long runs and also short ones. Well, and he's also a considerable, like, in size. I think he's like 6'5" or 6'6" and like 220 or something. So he's not your typical, thin quarterback. He should be like a tight end or something, or a lineman. So that makes him hard to take down.
Well, and then if you're comparing, like we just said, Iowa's 1,482, 4.8 average, 20 touchdowns. I guess the same thing maybe you can say. Oregon's 1,896 on the ground, 6.3 average, 21 touchdowns. And how many running? I mean, you guys have a decent amount of running backs here. You got 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, we're very deep at running back.
Yeah, I was going to say,
very deep.
5 solid running backs at least.
Well, let me tell you, we were down at different points of the season. They're all okay now, like they're all healthy now, based on what I understand. But we had different points in the season where like 2 of them were injured and we still had no problem. Like it did not affect anything. It's running back by committee a lot of times, although Moulton is starting to get the majority of the calls too. But as far as, option and like, how much liberty does Mark have on the field to change calls? He's done it a few times where, he'll get the call from the booth from the offensive coordinator and he'll decide, no, I'm going to do something else instead. Or he'll see that there's no one open to get a pass and he'll just run. Like it's not even a called quarterback run, but he'll still do it. He's not afraid of it. He welcomes contact and he's big and he can win battles based on his size at times. Oh, I think you're muted.
Darn.
There you go. I was like, I'm not
he-
hearing him. What happened?
Yeah, it's the same. He's opportunistic. It's the same as Dante Moore a lot. Dante Moore does have a few quarterback specific draw plays or runs drawn
Yeah.
up for him, but he's more opportunistic than anything.
Yeah. I think that's one thing about Mark's game I like a lot, though, is that he's not afraid of contact. And we haven't had that. Part of it is that we haven't had that in a few years in a quarterback. So to see that is very exciting. And, hopefully that we can keep that up because this is his last year of eligibility, unfortunately.
That's always unfortunate when you like what you see and you're like, we could build on the. Oh wait, never mind.
Well, we do have 2 more waiting in the wings, and I'm sure they're going to go to the portal and get somebody. They're going after that Messenger from Boise State, so I'm sure we'll get someone else, and it'll be competitive.
Well, I'm sure. I mean, look, Iowa's a great program. They've been a overall very consistent program. Every team has its like up and down years for most programs. But Iowa's always been a very consistent program. They just do the things they do their way, and it works. I mean, it just works.
And Iowa's known for, especially when people come into Kinnick, making the other team play the Iowa way, which, like you said, is just pound them and run and out physical and don't be penalized, So, and that's what happened if you look at the Indiana matchup. That's what happened is they came into Kinnick. Somehow we managed to force them to play our style, and we almost beat them.
Well, and that's also my concern is, one, like I said, I think Oregon is going to prep the Penn State way. Silent. Don't, just let the crowd do what they do. And I think you'll be surprised how many Oregon fans are actually there.
I'm not going to be surprised. Don't get me wrong. It's going to be a lot of Iowa fans. But no, I'm not surprised because when you have a good team, you follow them, and I'm sure that there's going to be Oregon fans there.
I was going to say, if you watch the Rutgers game from the beginning, this is the first Oregon touchdown. It was literally "Let's go Ducks" throughout the whole stadium.
Yeah,
even
I'm not
in
surprised.
New Jersey, it was like, ooh, the
pound them and run. It's the Iowa way, exactly.
Troy, I wasn't gonna say anything,
but he's right. He's not wrong.
Troy's being dirty. That's all it is.
Oh, he's going there? Okay.
Yeah, he's going there. I wasn't gonna say anything, but Troy, way to go, Troy.
Well, if you look at it the non-perverted way, he's not wrong, though. That's just how Iowa plays. What? Golgoski reminds me of Mitchell. Cameron has big body, inconsistent with passing. I don't think, honestly, like I explained before, Dave, inconsistent with passing. A lot of the missed passes are not really Mark's fault. It's usually balls that should be caught and that for whatever reason, the receivers just they don't have the skill. That's a deficiency of ours, and it's unfortunate, but hopefully in the coming years that will be improved.
Well, and it's not like Gronowski here is like awful. He's 65% completion percentage.
It's respectable.
I would like that's pretty average to a little above average. I think about 61% is about average-ish, somewhere there, maybe 62, something like that. The 4 touchdown, 4 pick, that's not great, but that's kind of Iowa's style. They're not asking him to throw 30 touchdowns a season.
Yeah, I mean, that's just not how they play their game. That's 100% accurate. What?
I have no idea.
I appreciate the thought, Glenn, but I don't buy that.
This is what you get from Duck fans and on this channel.
Okay.
This is just what you get around here. So I guess then let's wrap it up here in about within the next 10 minutes here. We've been now it's an hour and 20 minutes. Holy crap. So in your mind then, Erica, who wins the game or what wins the game for either team? Defense or the offense?
I think, gosh, you know what? And I was thinking about this before because I knew this question was going to come. I don't know who to pick because part of me thinks we could do it. Part of me thinks we could shock everybody. And I'm not just saying that because I'm drinking the Iowa Kool-Aid. I'm saying it because our defense.
That's a bad Kool-Aid. There's a lot of bad experience from people drinking Kool-Aid before.
It's true, but I'm also not. I don't bet games in general, but I wouldn't, bet for them to win. I guess if I was betting, but let's say it this way: the fact that it's in Kinnick, the fact that we have the weather forecast that we've referenced a few times, the fact that we have a mobile quarterback now. That makes me think that we could pull it off, especially the fact that we almost did it with Indiana, right? And I would argue that Indiana is better than the Ducks. I think that's pretty clear at this point. No offense. So if we got that, and I know this transitive property stuff is BS most of the time, but just looking at all the factors together, I do think we have a chance. And I think success for Iowa, if we don't win, success for Iowa looks like it's similar to the Indiana game in that we keep up. It's not a total blowout. I don't think a blowout's going to happen. I think our defense is too good for that. I think that Gronowski is too mobile for that. And I also think our special teams might help us out heavily here too.
That's fair. I mean, the whole point of this show is, I can tell, is a defensive struggle because, again, I think statistically both of these defenses are really good.
Right.
Iowa has their style of game, so Oregon can kind of maybe take that away and force Gronowski into the passing situation, which, again, he's not bad at, but like you said, receivers are not that great. They're all right. They're nothing you're going to be like, yeah, I would depend on them with my life.
There's one receiver who was injured until our last game just before the bye week called Reese Vanderzee. And he's a big receiver who's, an Iowa native. I think he's, I don't remember how tall he is, but he has the ability to get up there and get the ball. And he is completely healthy now. So I think that could potentially be a game changer. If we throw enough passes at him, that could really be of help. And I'm not just talking about this game, I'm talking in general. So I think that might be something to look out for a little bit to see, if they actually do that as part of the game plan or how they do it. But I could see this going either way. The one thing I don't see is that it's a blowout on either side. I don't think this is going to be a blowout.
No, I'm the same way. Also, Reese is Vanderzee is 6'4". So he's a tall receiver. Yeah. He's a tall guy.
And I believe he's got some weight on him too.
I think it was 215.
It sounds about
6'4", 215.
Yeah.
Solid.
Yeah. And he just has the ability to get up there and get the ball. Like, I love seeing it from an Iowa receiver for a change.
It's the same way like you were talking Kyler Casper. Unfortunately, he's just never come to fruition, whether injuries just never got in the playbook or he's just been buried by other players,
Yeah.
He's still there, and we're always like, every year we're like, yay, we're going to see Casper. Nope. It's just like, nope.
I wonder, do you think, that's kind of a sidebar conversation too. Do you think that he's put out there for this game, given that he's an Iowan and his dad played for us and all that?
It could. I mean, you never. I don't know what Dan Lanning's going to do. I mean, remember like the third game of the year or something like that. The first it was the road trip to Northwestern, so it was the third game of the year. And the media, well, you probably don't remember. The media asked him, "Hey, you guys used literally like 80 players this last game and 7 running backs. Are you going to bring all of them, the 7 running backs specifically?" And he's like, "Maybe." Like, maybe.
He's a man to himself, huh?
Yeah, it's just like maybe. I mean, it's like so the travel roster is smaller than the home roster, in a way, in a little bit. So I'm not sure what Kyler Casper's actual status is. I guess I could pull it up and see if I'm going to guess it just as active until the report the day before the game or whatever. But I mean, maybe they'll throw him out there for a couple of trick plays or something like that, and let him do something. That's Will Stein's call. And Dan Lanning's, I have no idea what they have drawn up because I know they have to get around this defense somehow.
Yeah. And I don't think it's going to be an easy task. And I'm not saying that, they're not going to at all get past the defense. That's not what I'm saying either. But I think that they will definitely have to have some trickery in there or something. I don't know what. I'm not familiar enough with the team to know exactly what that something might be. But it's going to be, I think on both sides, it's going to be hard for anyone to get much of anything, honestly. And that's why the over-under is not higher. I thought maybe it might be a bit higher, but it's only 40, I think you said, right?
Yeah,
is that right?
Well, at least earlier, I could refresh it here, but it was 40.5, which is not much.
It's lower than both of our teams' averages for the season, like the points per game averages.
Yeah, I was like, that's not much. Most team, most scores, most over-unders are about 48 to at least like 54.
Yeah, and I think that's a function of our defenses, both of them.
Yeah, and also again, weather is probably playing a little bit. maybe retirements. Josh Gibson. When is Jory Rada joining the show? He was on. He already left. Corey's a busy guy. He was running late, and then I know he's had a long day, and he has multiple streams that he does throughout the week. He's already been on. He already came on.
He's a busy guy. I'm not as popular though. So.
But I appreciate Corey coming on. I when I reached out, I was like, this is gonna be a stretch to see because I know he does a lot of other things. So it was like it was gonna be a stretch. So anytime is appreciated.
It's a triple duty time right now in the season, if you will, because it's football, women's basketball plays, men's basketball, and he covers all that. So I don't know how he does it, to be honest with you.
I've told Spaz we need to do men's basketball maybe a little bit, and then he's like, "No," and I'm like, "Yeah, never mind." Like, no, I'm good.
But yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I think it could be either team's game, and I think it's going to be something like, well, let's see if it's over under 40.5.
It's like over under 40.5 right now. Refreshed, it is still -6.5 for the Ducks. It opened 5.5, but now it is 6.5. But it's been there for a couple of days at least, like that.
I knew at some point it was 5.5, so I'm not completely wrong. Okay.
No, yeah. No, I was like, I wasn't surprised by that either. If it had dropped either.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a really exciting, entertaining game. And I think there's a lot of different points to watch besides, just the weather and that type of stuff. I think it's going to be very intriguing. Well, yeah, Dave. Yeah, I miss the old days too. Those were some fun times for sure. Things have changed a lot.
Things change, Dave. Get over it. Oh, no.
Aw.
No. What? I don't know what just happened. Corey popped in the background randomly and then left again.
Oh, he probably clicked on the wrong link or someone.
I think I'm going to guess that's what happened. He clicked on the wrong link and then was like, oops, wrong one. It was there and it was gone. I was like, okay.
He's got a lot of different things he does, so that's probably what happened.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was like, if you're going through all his Twitter messages, he probably has like 100 messages from people. And it's like,
yeah. But anyway, I think the game could go either way, and I don't think there's going to be any blowouts, and it's going to be fascinating to watch the defenses battle.
Oh, well, then you're going to love the next segment, the wrap-up segment. I would ask Spaz for a drum roll, but Spaz sucks and he's not here, so. Corey didn't get
Score
to do it.
predictions. Oh, I
Score
was
prediction.
hoping you wouldn't ask that question, man. You're really making me work for it here, and it's 11 o'clock my time.
I didn't get to ask Spaz. I didn't get to ask Corey, and I asked Spaz yesterday, and he gave one. And he and I are pretty much on par with it. But I agree with you. Everything you said. It's not going to be like a. I mean, how about this? I'll go first. I'll go first for you. How about that? I'll give you a second.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think it'll be a blowout, especially potentially with the weather forecast. But if Oregon can score 10 to 14 points, say 2 drives in a row immediately, and it's all of a sudden 10 to 4 or 14 to 0, then I think Iowa starts to go, uh-oh.
Yeah, I think
Now,
that could be worrisome, but we have a lot more offensive power now than we did in the past.
Yeah. Oh, no, I agree with that. But I think that's when you start putting Iowa out of their comfort zone in a way where they're not in control of the game or it's just back and forth. It's like, now you're pressed. I don't think that's going to happen. I am more on par with what Spaz had. I have actually just said, I think it's about 24-17 Oregon.
Yeah, I think it's going to be something like that too.
20 and for instance, Spaz said 27-17 Oregon. So
27-17. So that would mean we beat you're over. And you know what? Heck with it. I'll take the over too. I think, I don't know. Part of me thinks these defenses are gonna just battle on both sides all day long. So God, there's so many, like, I can see both sides of this so well, as far as like, well, Iowa wins if this happens and Oregon wins if Glenn, no. Sorry, no, that's not happening in Kinnick Stadium.
like what? Glenn.
No. Can you kick him out for that? Because that's no.
He's a Duck fan. He said Oregon's losing.
Yeah, but it's not going to be that much of a it's not going to be that dominating, I don't think. I've yet to pick the correct winner, by the way.
It's just keeping the trend going.
It's late here. I'm not even going to try. I gave you a show a thumbs up. Yeah, you know what? Everyone should give the show a thumbs up. You know, it really helps out. And I'm not as good at these marketing pitches as Jackson is, but I'm going to give it a try for you anyway. Please hit the like button.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Usually I say that at the beginning of the show, and actually I didn't because we were already running a little late, and I was like, hey, hit the like if you want. Consider subscribing. Appreciate it. But yeah, anyone who hits the like button, appreciate it. We've had a really good audience, good chat tonight. And Josh also says 17-13 Iowa. This could be that type of game where it's like one of those 15-13 games. That's like a very Iowa score, you know?
Well, to be fair, we haven't had a lot of scores like that this year.
Yeah, that's why I say it's going to be interesting. You're avoiding your score prediction.
Damn it.
You are stalling over there.
Yes, I am. But, you know, I do agree with, you know, the same type of score you said. I just don't know who wins it. I could see it going either way, honest. Like, it's going to be something like that where it's super close, and it might even end up being a last minute thing where we think one team has it in the bag, and then the other one comes back by like some type of trick play or special teams play or an interception that is returned for points. It's going to be something fluky. I have a feeling like that, given the setup with the weather.
It could be. That's why I don't disagree with the over under, and the spread seems about right. Like I'm like, okay, could it be completely wrong? Yes, but I think that's actually reasonable. So I'm not.
I would like to see it over 40.5, but with these defenses are too good. We're not going to allow each other to score much more than that. Come on, Eric. I hate Iowa. I did not pick Iowa. I would love for Iowa to win, but part of me is like, they have more athletes than us, and she's
just stalling. So do you want me to just tell you? It's Erica says 21-20 Oregon.
No, she doesn't. No, I think it's going to be something like 25, like very similar to Indiana. That's what I think. That's my final prediction. It's going to be 2015, 20 to 15 or 25 to 20 or 24-17, something like that. It's
You
going to,
got you got
my,
you got to
here's
pick
my
one. You got to
prediction.
pick one.
Here's my prediction. It's going to be fluky. And I'm going to go ahead. You know what? Screw it. I'm going to go with my heart and say that I was going to win it because it's inside Kinnick. Because the weather, like
No,
we've
too
hammered,
late. Too late. You are
I
now
can't
written
read
down
it.
as you're now written down as fluky.
That's fine by me
That's
because
your
I think
score
that's
prediction.
happening.
Fluky.
That's fine. That's fine. That's what I think is going to happen. That's fine with me.
That is not the way to gamble, people. Do not
Gamble.
gamble on the fluky.
I said it up front that I do not bet. Remember? Pretend money
I
is on the line.
don't
No,
either. 'Cause
I'm not.
I would lose so much money.
Glenn, you know what? I don't.
Dave, I use paper because I have so many tabs open. You don't understand how confused I get. I have like 5 different windows with like 15 tabs open on each, and I'm trying to rotate back and forth between all of them for different shows. So I get confused.
Listen, if you want to write down, you can leave fluky if that's what you wish, because I do think that's going to be a thing. I do think that's going to happen.
Okay.
If you wish to assign numbers or associate numbers with my name, I will say that it's going to be, I'll say 21-17, and I'm going to say that Iowa wins.
Okay. All right. Does
that
that's
count?
fine.
Did I make it?
Yeah, that's fine. That's totally fine. We're all in the same ballpark of scores. I mean, would I be surprised if it was literally like a Wisconsin score, like 16-13? Absolutely not. I would not be surprised. Like last year, I wouldn't be shocked.
Well, listen, I feel like it's like I said, that both our defenses are just so good that the points are going to be at a premium.
Yeah, that's what I'm feeling. I mean, it's like that's why I said if Oregon doesn't start fast, it's gonna be a slugfest, I think.
And like when you have two teams, like we're number 2 in total defense. I think you guys are like what, 5th or 6th? Is that right?
In total defense?
Yeah.
Total defense. I think passing we're like 5th or 6th. I think total is like 10th or 11th.
Well, the point is we're both tops, whatever the number for Oregon is. We're both tops in the country at total defense. And when you have that type of matchup, the points are going to be hard to come by.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. And like you said, you guys have an offensive identity. Oregon is a bit of a mix, but it depends on can they beat Iowa's defense in the secondary. So it's like that's kind of where the matchup comes. Oregon's wide receivers against Iowa's secondary, and Oregon against Iowa's run game.
Yeah.
That's kind of like
in particular, the quarterback. But the thing that Oregon's going to have to be careful of is that they need to balance their attention. And what I mean by that is if they put all their eggs in one basket to protect from Mark, they're going to lose out too, because our running backs are dynamic and they can also win the game for us.
Exactly. They can't overload the box. They need to just do their normal four downmen with a spy maybe or a blitzer, but they have to pay attention to the passing game too.
And they also have to be careful of our offensive line. Like the blitzing might not be very successful.
Yeah, again, all very. I'm no DC. I'm not trying to speak for Tosh Lupoi, but yeah, I'm sure they're game planning. I'm sure they're game planning something for it,
But on the flip side, that's not to say that Phil Parker, our defensive coordinator, doesn't have, he has to plan too, right?
Yep.
So I think it's a fascinating matchup, honestly.
Yeah, he's watching. Trust me, our O-line has a couple weaknesses on it. There are a couple weaknesses, so I'm sure he's seen it. He knows what it is. Indiana showed it, so I'm sure he knows where he's going to attack, and that is Isaiah Worlds. Unfortunately, Isaiah Worlds' footwork sucks.
Yeah, and the other thing about Phil Parker, and I'd say this about the entire Iowa coaching staff, if there are adjustments that need to be made, they're very good at doing that. Some teams are not good at halftime adjustments. Iowa is excellent at it. So even if you burn us one way during the first half, it's not going to happen again during the second half.
That's an interesting point. We didn't even think about talking about anything like that. We're not going to get into it right now because I would be interested to look deeper and to see what the over under for the first and second half is.
Oh yeah, that would be. I
bet
love to know what
I bet
that
the
is.
first half is either low score or high score, and the second half is low score or high score because of adjustments.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. I think it's interesting too that I think we see this game in the same way in a lot of ways too. Like how the score is going to end up and how the defenses are going to be not the difference, but the battle, like the real battle to watch.
Yeah, I mean, this could be, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if it was Wisconsin last year where it was 16-13. It was just no one could get anything going.
Yep.
Everyone was just being shut down completely. And like I said, then you add in weather and you're like, who knows? But I think it'll be a good game no matter what. And this will be, again, the fourth all-time meeting of Oregon and Iowa in this new vaunted rivalry series.
Because we don't have enough rivalries with Minnesota, Wisconsin,
I
Nebraska,
just call
Iowa State.
every time we play a first team in the Big Ten, I'm like, the vaunted series of this rivalry.
Yeah, for you, that's right. That's true. That's true. And
that's like 3 years ago. It was like Iowa and Oregon are being in the same conference. We'd be like, yeah,
right. I know.
It was like 2 years ago. It's like, well, that's coming, isn't it?
It's we need a whole nother show to talk about just coaching carousel and the portal and just conferences, the growing conferences, which I think it's out of control, but that's another discussion for another day.
Yeah.
And yeah, that could be a whole nother show that goes far beyond just Iowa and Oregon for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we have gone now for an hour and 42 minutes, which, my God, I thought we were going to go for an hour, and we spent 40 minutes before we even got to the game.
It's all good. I'm having a great time. It's been a while since we've talked, so it's great to catch up too.
Oh yeah, no, it's been great. It's been an easy talk. It's when you get on to this type of conversation and topics, it's like, it's amazing. Some people don't understand. Like, how do you sit there for 2-3 hours and talk about this stuff? It's like, well, after like the first 20 minutes, if it's going, it just goes, and all of a sudden you're like 2 hours into it. You're like, oh, shit. That's just.
Do you remember, just to go, down memory lane a little bit, do you remember when we did one of the after dark shows? I think we went for 5 hours or something.
Yeah, it was 5.5 hours, something like that.
That's got to be a record.
Yes, I don't do those anymore. I do about 3.5 at most now, and even then, usually I'm like, it's like 2 or 3 in the morning. By then, I'm like, you gotta kill this. Come on, man.
Oh dear. Well, listen, thank you so much. I mean, I don't know if you have any other questions or things you wanted to address.
I think we covered a lot. I think we've summed it up. I think with the atmosphere, the potential of the weather, the teams, the way they're built, the way they want to play, I really think it's going to be a defensive battle.
Yeah.
Does it get over 40.5? It's possible, but I think it's still going to be a close game.
Yeah, no matter what, it's going to be a close game. And is it going to be over or under?
It's hard to tell.
I can't. If I were into betting, which I'm not, as we talked about, I would just say no because of these defensive matchups. It's our defenses, like I said, are very strong units for both our teams, and it's going to be hard to get anything done. That's what I think, honestly.
I can agree with that because again, the open was -5.5 for Oregon. It went 6.5, but the over under went from 43.5 to 40.5.
Yeah.
So that should tell you something. They're more confident with Oregon, but it's going to be a relatively lower scoring game. That's what they have a feel on. So
I think they went over the statistics similar to some of the ones that we read out tonight and realized, wow, both of these defensive units are legit, top in the country. It's going to be a battle to the end of it.
Yeah,
That's what I think.
I obviously someone's doing data analysis and deep dives into all this stuff way beyond what we are, and that's where they get these numbers from, obviously. So
It's obviously not the AP poll. Not that I'm frustrated about not being ranked in the AP poll or anything.
you won't be ranked after this week, but
We'll see. We'll see about that.
Shots fired. Yeah,
We'll see.
We'll see. I might have just jinxed the Ducks there.
I mean, it's anyone's game. Let's be honest, right? Let's be honest. It's anyone's game. Points are going to be hard to come by. PJ Fleck? Oh, God. I hate PJ Fleck. I'm sorry, Dave. I'm sorry, Dave. I hate PJ Fleck. He's like the used car salesman of college football.
Yeah, all I can say is, Glenn, we ended up in a good spot. We had Cristobal. We ran him out of town. Well, Miami took him from us, thank God. And
I was going to say, that's a blessing.
We ended with Dan Lanning. And I think at the end of the day, we ended up with the much better situation.
How could anybody want PJ? Anyway, if Dave's still here, I apologize.
He just row the boat.
Oh, Jesus. Ski you nah. That's what I say to that. Ski you nah. I hate PJ Fleck. We've beaten him 9 times out of 10.
I appreciate PJ Fleck, especially when he was first in Minnesota. He was very, very just so energetic. Now he's much more, like you said, like he's kind of like the used car salesman. He's not the same, just that energy guy that he was when he first got there.
If you have some free time at some point, watch on YouTube his post game conference after Iowa.
Oh God.
Oh yeah, like there's no energy there, and he's yeah. Just watch it. Let me know what you think.
All right, I will look into that. I'll be doing some other stuff definitely tomorrow in prep for this game, but also catching up with some of the other games this last week, also just to get ready for Saturday. So, well, Erica, it has been fun.
Yes.
And I appreciate you coming on. Corey was here for a short time, but again, he's very busy. So I always appreciate anytime I can get a hold of him and get him on too to talk anything Hawkeyes, because this is going to be a hated rivalry. Oh, I can feel the hatred brewing.
Yeah, listen, thanks for having me on. I appreciate the invitation, and I had a really good time learning about the Ducks, because honestly, I'm not super familiar. I should be more familiar, and I'm not. So thanks for letting me join you tonight, and let's see what happens, right?
Yeah. Well, no, and we appreciate you here as Duck fans too, like I said, giving us some more knowledge and insight into the Hawkeyes, some of the changes that were made this year, some of the stats, some of the players, and what to look forward to, because again, this is going to be a good game. No matter the outcome, I think this will be a really good game. So
yeah, definitely, for sure.
Well, Erica, hopefully we'll see you maybe on Sunday night if you can make it to the After Dark show. And
yeah, what time? What time's it going to be at?
We do it about I'll have to check my schedule too for my upcoming thing, but it should be around 9:30 p.m. Central.
Okay. If I don't make it right then, so I might be just walking in at that time.
You can.
I'll try to join.
If you want, I'll drop you the link. I'll drop you the link in Twitter and or X, and you can pop on anytime.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much. That'll be fun.
All right, Erica. Have a great night on your end, and thank you again for your time.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right, everyone. That was Erica Goldberg, the Iowa fan. And again, I appreciate Corey coming on. Both of their links for X are in the description of this video, as well as Corey Bada on YouTube. So definitely get over there, check them all out, follow them. And as for this, what we'll do is we'll wrap this up. This went on way longer than I was thinking it would, but great conversation, great insight into both programs. And yeah, Josh here, right here on the Quacking Off channel. It is a Duck channel, but the After Dark show is a Sunday night show, is a national review of the whole weekend and all teams or the major events of the landscape of college football. So definitely want to check that out. So go ahead and hit subscribe here if you would like. we would appreciate it. And don't miss that on Sunday night. Again, about 9:30 p.m. Central. It will be set up here in a couple days. So hit the notification so you don't miss it. And other than that, what we're going to do is we're going to wrap this bitch up at almost 2 hours in. So thank you once again, everyone coming in. Again, go follow Corey and Erica in the description of this comment section or the description of this video below. I don't know why it's so hard to say. But everyone, appreciate you guys being here. Again, hit the like button real quick and have a great rest of your week. Enjoy your football this weekend, and we'll see you on the post game and hopefully on the After Dark show. Have a great one.